Catus Maximus here. Titan has a new take on the 1/4 inch impact driver to socket adapter. These are using a mechanism that's like a quick release ratchet, where you, on a quick release, you'd be pressing on this button. It has a little post that has been squished right in the middle of this post, and so the ball bearing will fall into that, and that's how it locks. And then when there's a spring in this collar pressing down on a little machine down area, and when this draws back, that little ramp pushes the ball out. So that's the idea with these. They do have some issues. Generally they work okay, but the 1/2 inch drive one will obviously have the most issues because it just has the biggest load. If you're putting big sockets on, obviously you're not fastening big fasteners like that with an impact driver, but you may use it to run them on. Say you're a carpenter and you'll be running on some nuts on some big lag bolts and maybe post and beam. That's where it might come in handy, is you might have to climb up on a ladder. These are snapped together quickly, and then it ensures that the socket or nothing's going to fall off, and then you can, run it in and then use a wrench to do the final torque. So they do loosen when you press on them, but that's the only way they could do it, because that way when you're pulling on it, they do stay in there. They would be more advantageous, say, in the 1/4 inch size, where you might be working on all sorts of fasteners that are corroded or painted over or really dirty and have a lot of buildup. This is not going to be anywhere near as compact as like a regular socket adapter, but many of the ones that you find are magnetic, and so they only have a very minimal amount of depth. So this would allow you to use normal sockets with just a little bit more depth, but still give you that really positive locking action. Obviously, it shines when you need to use a deep well. Then you can have a whole locking setup that's locked up in the tool, and you don't have to worry about it falling off. Some of the issues that these do have was, of course, size, or I should get the 1/2 inch one here, is that these Titans are pretty long, and I think they did that because the way this hex is sliding, and if you're pressing on it, it's going to be going back and forth there. And this is essentially a 1/4 inch hex driving an adapter, which is then driving the socket. So this whole broached area here where this is sliding is going to get beat up. The shank of this is going to get beat up. So they made it extra deep just so it reduce a bit of wear, and so you wouldn't get as much of an effect of like notching along the shaft, which would make it difficult to get loose. Also, what can happen with this ramp system is as you're impacting or pulling on it, this ball will actually just jam right into the, got a little injury there. It will jam right in the side of the ramp and actually make a little divot, and then these things will want to get jammed, but you can always just hit the end of them to get them to loosen up. But they, because of that, they are really long. This is like a DeWalt, which is like the standard long pattern one. And then here's a Milwaukee. I really like the Milwaukees because they're shorter, so they're more compact. They have less mass, so you're delivering more power. And that shortened length means that they're just not sticking out as far, so there's a little bit less wobble associated with them. So these Titans only, have just that one specific advantage, which is in certain situations where you have the socket just really wants to get stuck on the fastener, and that way you can actually have it locked on there. It's locked into the tool. Where's my 1/4 inch here? If you're replacing paneling on a sheet metal sided building and there's been painted over, you're gonna have to jam this, the socket on, and then you have to wrench the fastener out, and it's just nice when everything's totally locked into the tool, so you don't have to worry about it. How you like that camera bump there? So I got these on sale. It was 20 bucks for the 3-piece set, and I think that was reasonable. Places like Amazon, they're trying to get like 10 bucks a piece. I don't think they're worth that at all. The second issue I should mention is that on Titan's website and around the internet, they show these as having a totally different design, and it seems that they switched up the design at some point, but still haven't updated all the at product imagery. Who knows, they could have had an issue with the supplier. One thing I will say is whoever the vendor is on these is doing pretty well. Let me get a little bit more zoom here. Here we go. I was going to mention that where you can really see on any tools that have a ball detent is how well centered the little depression is. Because when they put in the balls, they use a little die that smashes down and deforms the metal to make it too small for the ball to pass out or pass through. And many times that will be varying all over the place, and that's how you end up with tools that lose their ball detents. But at least these are real consistently made. It's pretty surprising how well the centering is. So they are precision. You know, everything's really nice about them. Even the knurling is pretty grippy. It's just that they have highly limited uses for proportionately being pretty expensive, because you can get a three-piece set of the DeWalt's, the Milwaukee's for about $10 for the three-piece set, and they're certainly heavy duty. The Milwaukee's are really nice just because of how compact they are. But it's kind of nice that there is this available option, which is ones that are locking. So like I said, in those situations where you have the sockets getting stuck on painted over nuts and bolts, then these may be a lot handier, because you can just yank the tool and the socket right off the fastener. Anyway, I think I'll end the review for these little tools, but I do think they are neat, just because they just offer more available options, and gives you a little bit more possibilities. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.